Welcome, everybody. This will be episode 204 on the podcast slash webinars on our customer experience, customer centricity YouTube channel. This one is all about, or at least half an hour about, continuous discovery research and my thoughts and advice around that. I've got about 15 slides to go through, and then I'll take your questions. So if you are joining live, please put your questions in the Google Meet chat. If you're watching this later, thank you for watching this later. And please put your questions in the YouTube comments and I will happily answer them personally. And of course, a special thanks to everybody who is supporting my Patreon, even at $1 a month and higher. Thanks to everybody who is kind of funding all of these free webinars. I've been doing 1 or 2 a week and writing them, most of them fresh, just for you. So thanks to everybody supporting us at all levels. And of course, you can check out, am I pointing at the right side, our Patreon at patreon.com/CXCC. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and jump into my slides. And fingers crossed that slides are looking good today. Here we go. Okay, so what should continuous research or continuous discovery and continuous discovery research be? There's a couple of points where I'm going to ask you for your opinions on something. And so get ready to write some things in the chat. I think I have 2 slides where I ask you to listen for something a little weird, and I'll flip back to the chat to look. Otherwise, I'm not going to look at your comments as I get through my slides. And just in case you're unfamiliar with me or you're sharing this around your job and people are like, who is this person? I'm Debbie Levitt. I've been a CX and UX strategist, designer, and researcher for well over 20 years. My company is called Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy and agency, a little bit of staff aug in there too, if there's something we can help with. And in addition to doing projects, we also consult with companies on helping them with their CX and UX teams and practices, and also helping them be more customer centric. And that's why clients call me Mary Poppins, because I fly in, fix everything I can, sing a few songs, and fly away to where I'm needed next. Please note, I tend to say CX and UX interchangeably. If I say CX, I mean both. If I say UX, I mean both. I think when they're done right, CX and UX are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. And I don't want to die on the hill of who's a customer, who's a user. They're all in our ecosystem. We have to make everybody happy. I want to make sure we're not just focusing on the people paying us. And welcome back to our little friend at the bottom of the screen, the camera icon. This tells you that my slides are done. This slide is done animating for people who love to take photos or screenshots of slides. Okay, so let's start with the Torres model of continuous discovery, and we're focusing on her because, hey, she wrote a book, a lot of people read it, and most of the articles that are on this topic are going to end up summarizing or quoting something that she has put out there. And while she has some good ideas, I do think we need to apply more critical thinking to her models, especially considering how they're often implemented. So I'll add my commentary as I move through at least my understanding of this model. So for starters, we've got a diagram showing that we start with an outcome that a product leader negotiates with a product team. Now, the diagram isn't clear if this is a business outcome, a customer-focused outcome, or both. Torres's stuff usually tends to have a business outcome at the top of her trees, so I would assume it's probably business. So, for example, if the business wants to see more people applying to jobs, but users don't like applying to more jobs than they need to, which outcome do we focus on? Who wins? This might be the negotiation, but let's just say that I've never seen a product leader lose that negotiation. We often go with whatever they say is the outcome we need to create. It might not be customer-centric. It might be customer-peripheric, which is my made-up word for customer-centric. Next, we see that the product team conducts weekly customer interviews to discover opportunities. Hold on. Who is the product team? According to Torres, it's your cross-functional team and includes marketing, customer support, data analysts, engineers, user researchers, product managers, and designers. This is where this starts to be fuzzy. Who should be doing customer interviews? Torres and authors like her often say everybody should run interviews, but interviewing, as well as research planning, recruiting, analysis, synthesis, and reporting on actionable insights and suggestions, is specialized work. You might think that anybody can do an interview, and you're not wrong, but few do it well. And we should care about the quality of how this work is done. So while there are collaboration opportunities in research, I strongly suggest that interviews are only done by people who are qualified researchers. Maybe they have a research title. Maybe they transitioned into product management or design. But I don't want specialized work done by anybody who isn't great at it. There's no job in our company that we want done by people who might do it poorly. Great observational and interview research can indeed reveal opportunities. We should be writing customer-focused problem statements that we can later solve. But another concern with the model on the screen is the opportunity. Torres defines opportunities as, quote, representing the customer needs, pain points, which in turn create business value, driving your outcome once your product solves them. In other words, what could you build that could potentially bring value to your customers? End quote. Write something in the chat if you notice anything potentially not quite right about this definition of an opportunity. I'll give everybody a moment. We're probably going to go the full time today. This is going to be a long one, 45 minutes-ish. Anybody notice anything strange about that definition of an opportunity? And if you're looking at the tree, notice we didn't get to the solution yet. That's my hint to you. Anybody want to put something in the chat? Maybe not. Maybe you're all shy today. Even Francisco's here. Not shy. Come on. Why are you calling me out? All right. So we're not seeing comments from y'all. That's okay. So let me go into what I notice about this and you can see what you think. So let's see. Where's my notes? Yes, here we go. She started by saying that an opportunity is customers' needs and pain points, but quickly shifts to what could be built that brings business and customer value. That's not the opportunity. That's the potential solution. We should not confuse the opportunities to better serve customers by first understanding their problems and the valuable solutions we could build. These trees could quickly become a mountain of solution guesses as we forget to focus on real customer problems. I'm also concerned about business value driving your outcome. If my project goal is better search results and my desired outcome is that users might shop more easily, complain less to customer support, and we hope they'll buy more, does business value drive this outcome? Or does the desired customer outcome drive business value? This is another area where we should be careful. The diagram says that as solutions evolve, understanding of the opportunity evolves. This worries me. We should understand problems and opportunities from research. I don't want someone changing those later because they think they have a good solution and they want to rewrite the opportunity. In my opinion, only fresh research and good qualitative and quantitative data should be updating our problem statements or opportunities. Be careful here, as it sounds like the tail might wag the dog. The diagram says that the product team will generate multiple solutions and then create a compare and contrast decision. I have to tell you, that is never how I've done UX design or architecture. I always start with the one design that best addresses customer problems and business needs. I don't make multiple designs that are compared later. I don't find it easy to design multiple ideas simultaneously. My natural design approach makes me want to keep refining a single idea so that it's the best single idea. Sometimes I end up with two ideas that I think are equally strong, so I would usability test both, take the best of each, and land on one revised design. But I don't have my cross-functional team designing multiple solutions that will compare and contrast. This sounds like more work by committee than we should be doing, and let's remember that we're not doing work by committee in other areas. I'm not seeing product management by committee, engineering by committee, or marketing by committee. Product managers have never asked me for my version of the product roadmap to compare and contrast. The diagram asks if your solution addresses the opportunity in a way that drives the desired outcome. And remember, the desired outcome is probably a business outcome. Do we really want to immediately reject any solution idea that doesn't drive the desired business outcome if that solution addresses the customer problem or opportunity? We should still document these, since maybe they are good solutions worth pursuing, and maybe they achieve some other positive outcome not listed here. What if the desired outcome is a business outcome? I've seen companies avoid good customer experiences and product updates because nobody could prove that if they did those, it would increase that one metric and outcome the business was demanding. No, I can't prove that fixing our app's search results will make people click one button 3 screens later more. While we do hope our solution creates our desired outcome, it's a reminder to make sure that our desired outcomes have business and customer components. It's unfortunate that Torres and some other authors appear to want to disempower UX so that product can have all of the power. They'll do everybody's jobs. They'll make final decisions. Product might enjoy this for now, but power always shifts, and they should be more careful what they wish for. The more they try to make their job look like a UX or CX job, the more that experienced UX and CX practitioners will take their jobs. The core of continuous discovery is research. Research to better understand target audiences, learn about their problems, define pain points, unmet needs, and opportunities. Discovery is about what we do very early in a project or process. It's about what we know and understand while we are planning or just starting a project. You can always discover things, but the traditional definition of discovery in tech is evidence we gather early. Since we want it to be continuous, we might ask, how fast can it go? But before we look at how fast it can go, what do we hope the outcomes will be? Why do discovery or continuous discovery? There must be some sort of outcomes we're trying to achieve by doing this method. It can't just be, how fast did it go? Or we talked to some customers. Here are some outcomes I would look for. OGA to EDK. We work less from opinions, guesses, and assumptions, OGA, and more from evidence, data, and knowledge, EDK. If your teams are still fighting over opinions or doing what a high-paid person says, your discovery efforts might be meaningless or not enough. Does the solution really fit and solve the problem? When we usability test a CX or UX prototype, we can know if we're headed in the right direction. We're not just testing for, did someone stumble through this and eventually tell us they liked it? We're testing for, did we create the best solution for this audience and their needs? Is it easy to use? Does it help people be efficient? Does it make it less likely that they'll make a mistake? If not, then something went wrong with our discovery efforts. Success. How about the desired outcome of success? Experiments, A/B tests. Oh, I know it still says usability testing up there. Oops. Experiments, A/B tests, product launches, and I mean high success rates. If these are failing more than, say, 30% of the time, something isn't right. 50% is a toss of a coin. If you're getting high failure rates, then your discovery methods are failing you. You don't seem to understand what people want. You don't understand what good solutions might be. Desired outcomes include metrics, measurable moments showing not just where the business has success, but where the customer has success based on their task and needs. If we're not creating business and customer success, then we're probably working from bad or not enough information, which points back at our discovery efforts. Discovery research is supposed to give us knowledge, which should empower us to create better strategies, decisions, priorities, products, and services. Great discovery work powers our ability to win customers, make them happy, and earn their loyalty. If you're not seeing all of these things, your discovery research might range from harmful to theater to just not enough. People pushing continuous discovery often make it sound like this is work that can be done in hours or days. Let's take a look at how fast this might possibly happen and still have some sort of quality in our process. On day one, we'll pull some customers from a database and invite them to talk to us tomorrow. This is too short notice for some people, but let's assume we're going fast and we just want to speak to the people who are so not busy that they have time for us tomorrow. Day two, we'll conduct those sessions. Some sources suggest you only need to speak to maybe 3 people. We'll have some note takers in those sessions. Day three, we'll analyze our data based on the notes we took. We will not have time to watch or listen to our session recordings if we're trying to get this done in hours or days. Day four, write slides with insights and suggestions. Day five, present that to your team. This is possible, but is it good? And what did we miss? First, we missed having a research plan. What are our goals? What questions are we trying to answer? What questions will we ask participants? Is there a task we want to watch them do? If we're doing the same research on the same topics and questions every week, then you make this plan once and you reuse it. But if we are researching different product areas or different target audiences, we need a fresh plan for each study. The second thing we missed is that we often get better information by researching with people who fit into our target audience but aren't our customers. Our customers are used to our system. They have knowledge. They're even used to where our system sucks. They know how to navigate and get through our crappy designs. They have workarounds and tools to help them. Someone who's never seen it before will help us see it from the newbie's eyes. We'll see the flaws that we forced on our customers, flaws we should really fix. But when we need people who aren't customers, it usually takes longer to find and schedule them. We also missed that we can't keep showing the same people the same things, unless that's your only choice, but usually it's not. These people know too much. We'll have to grab a fresh group of participants each time. And we also missed that sometimes we have to schedule people more in advance. At my current job, they just told me, if you want to talk to those people, you have to tell us a month in advance. So our target audience might be busy today or tomorrow, but maybe can give us some time next week or in a few weeks. And finally, we missed that this might work for evaluative research, where we're testing a concept, prototype, dev build, or live product. But this doesn't really work well for early discovery research, especially where we need to do observational research and watch a task, not just talk about it. What people say rarely matches what they do. If you ask them to describe their process, they might leave out steps and workarounds you would have observed. So if we thought was continuous discovery research might not be the right method or the right timing, let's stop and define continuous discovery. Now, I Googled this and I got lots of different definitions. Some were harmonious and some were not. So we might be continually searching for new user needs. Maybe continuous discovery is a cadence of experimentation and customer conversations. Continuous discovery informs product decisions, or it's a mindset. Perhaps it's weekly conversations with customers. Maybe it's frequently gathering customer feedback. And there were other definitions, but we should agree that it's Continuous. We are frequently gathering information about our target audiences. We're getting feedback on something we're working on, or we're gathering early learnings and evidence to inform strategies, priorities, and decisions. And we can agree that in calling it discovery, it's probably a research effort. It's not marketing, engineering, or another department. It's about research and discovering. So, which of these on the screen now could we possibly do fast, like in the 1 week cycle we showed on the previous slide? Well, I guess deciding you have a mindset could be fast. Maybe speaking to some customers weekly and gathering customer feedback could be fast, though note the potential risks from the previous slide. But I would like to suggest that we prioritize quality over speed when it comes to understanding unknown user needs and problems. I'd like to suggest a cadence longer than 1 week, especially for experiments. They are ideas and changes we release to see if they're better than what we have now. This is normally measured by a business metric and not a customer metric or customer conversation. Sometimes experiments go too fast. We judge them within days, sometimes weeks, and we don't see the outcomes for the longer customer journey. But that's probably a separate webinar. Fans of continuous discovery research tend to think that if you just speak to 3 to 5 people per week, this is great and it's the correct number. They might imagine you don't need more. You just need a few opinions to learn if you're going in the right direction or to learn what people's pain points are. But let's take a look at best research practices. For generative and discovery research, where we want to follow through on what Torres suggests and learn about people, context, systems, tasks, pain points, unmet needs, and opportunities, the best practice has been 8 to 12 people per persona, typology, or profile. We work to recruit to get a good mix of people so that we're not meeting 10 white guys. We usually want a mix of genders, ages, ethnicities, locations, and knowledge or experience with this domain. If we care about DEI, we want to meet people from marginalized groups, which might mean socioeconomic status, languages, LGBTQIA+, identification, ethnicities again, and other groups. You can start to imagine how 8 to 12 per typology or segment might not even be enough when we care about having a good mix of people. If you had 3 target typologies, you should be meeting 24 to 36 people. Even if these were conversations with potential and current customers, researchers should have individual sessions with 30 people, give or take. For evaluative testing, where we're giving people tasks in a prototype, dev build, or live system, the best practice has been 5 people per persona, typology, or user profile. The articles quoting this best practice have often misinterpreted it and will tell you you only need 5 people total, but this is incorrect. The best practice is 5 per typology or segment and recruited for a good mix of people, like I mentioned, for the generative studies. So if you have 3 key target typologies, you should be testing with 15 people. If this is a customer conversation to get their feedback on a UX prototype, researchers should have individual sessions with 15 people. But all of these numbers are probably still low when you also work to ensure that people with disabilities, diagnoses, and conditions are also included. This should be part of your commitment to DEI and accessibility. We must include people with visual, hearing, motion, cognitive, emotional, and other conditions. Don't forget people with dyslexia or who are neurodivergent. So if you think that discovery is calling 3 to 5 people each week, you're probably getting this wrong. And it'll be more wrong if these are all white men who are current customers. This is why recruiting is an important part of a research process. Talk to the wrong people or not enough of the right people, and your research can be garbage. Fans of continuous discovery methods often suggest calling customers and asking them questions like, what do you want? What would you like? What are we missing? Have you had any problems in our system lately? Where can we improve? And things like that. Write in the chat if you can think of anything wrong with questions like that. And I promise after my slides are done, I'll get back to the questions. Anybody find anything wrong with these questions? They're leading, says Melanie. Katrine says they're leading too much and too open. Michelle says users frequently don't know what they'd like, too general. Francisco says it's biased. Elvina says self-reported. Yeah. You're asking users to give you solutions. Yeah, these are great. Let me flip back to my notes. Thanks, everybody. So here are some of the many problems with questions like that. First of all, people rarely understand their own problems. They might not know what they're doing wrong or badly in our system if they're not getting error messages or dead ends. They might think inside the box when it comes to what they want. They might ask you for a faster horse when they really need a race car, rocket ship, or to teleport somewhere. Don't expect customers to innovate for you. If they could invent amazing solutions, they might not give that to you for free or your small research incentive. Innovations typically come from researchers observing how people struggle and imagining how that friction can be removed. If each person you speak to has a different solution or opposite solutions, which one will you do? How do you know which is best without guessing or voting on favorites? And this is often a feature factory. We think that if people can tell us what they need, we translate that to features and boom, we call a few people and we start making a feature list. But we should be better than that. Let's also talk about those calls that product managers seem to like to do where they show customers an idea we have or describe an idea we have and ask if they would like it. And this is especially true when the idea is described or maybe it's part of a survey. I've seen a few of those lately. You might get yes answers from people who want to be polite, but are they lying to us? Well, when we run focus groups, surveys, or interviews asking people if they like our idea or would buy something like it, we are setting ourselves up for potentially flawed research. Focus groups suffer from groupthink or people not wanting to speak up in front of others. Put my personality in your focus group and your focus group is toast. But more importantly, if we're asking people, would they want, use, like, or buy something like a feature we describe to them, we might hear a lot of yes. Sure, I'll buy that. Yeah, I'd use it. Of course, my colleagues would like something like that. But what are they saying yes to if they can't try a realistic prototype or live version of this feature right now? Everybody imagines something that would work really well for them, and they say yes. We can't see in their heads. They're all imagining that when we release this feature, it'll be like what they imagined, which means there's a high possibility of disappointment. Everybody's imagining different executions of different ideas. This isn't discovery research, or at least it's not good research. This often leads to surprises when we're shocked that nobody's using the new feature when they said they'd use it, or nobody wants to pay for it when they said that they would pay for it. And we can tell we got it wrong when product launches fail and A/B tests fail. We wanted to make our existing version better. We came up with variation B or the new feature, but we tested and learned that it was worse than what we already had. That should set off warning sirens that we are creating low quality products and services. And when we try to improve them, we understand our customers so little that we made something worse. Discovery shouldn't be, can we discover if people like an idea we already have? Or can we discover the group of people who will say they want this? Or can we imagine made-up use cases showing our target audience might want our idea? Discovery should be solution-agnostic learning about people, tasks, and unmet needs so we can consider what solutions best fit those needs. When we want to better, I have a few more slides. When we want to better understand people, context, systems, habits, behaviors, and more, we'll need to do a thorough generative study. This is where we're truly discovering. We discover people, needs, problems, pain points, opportunities, and more. We learn the details that we rarely get from surveys, focus groups, grabbing people in a coffee shop, or running an A/B test. We want to observe people as much as possible. And this isn't necessarily a short project, but stick with me since I'll show you how to turn it into faster continuous discovery research. Let's use some examples of early research that will help teams strategize, prioritize, and make decisions. When I worked at Macy's, the researchers did an isolated project where they learned how Macy's shoppers perceive pricing. What types of numbers make sense to them? Should numbers be rounded to the dollar? What type of pricing made shoppers feel like they're getting a deal? Is that clearer when we cross out a higher price before showing a lower price? Another example of early generative discovery research might be to learn how B2B and B2C shoppers decide on custom promotional products. What's their process before they go order from a website? Who are their collaborators? Who has to approve this? And what do they need to see to give that approval? What blocks people from retirement savings? This is about behaviors that take place over a longer period of time. We might not have a task to watch, but we'll want to do in-depth interviews to learn more about target audiences, knowledge, action, and perceptions. 3 quick calls with customers are unlikely to reveal the true opportunities here. What is the job seeker's process when searching and applying? We can ask people to share their screens and show us how they do things. We can learn what in their process works well for their style and approach, and opportunities for process improvement. What role do end users play when the buyer is considering our system? This sounds like it could just be a fast customer conversation. Just call up some people who bought our system and ask them if they involved any end users in their decisions. But our team probably has more questions for both the buyers and the end users. We should deeply understand these tasks and processes to learn how to better cater to both groups of people. These are rarely quick customer conversations. These often include tasks we need to watch people attempt. Where this process is inefficient or frustrating are likely opportunities for our company. And we should take the time to get this right. Don't rush through generative or discovery research. The risks are too high of creating fast but garbage research that gives us false confidence and can set us up for failure. That means more time to plan this research, run the sessions, and analyze the sessions so that our reports and diagrams can answer unanswered questions and set teams and projects up for success. And we'll know how fast our research will go when we can get our project team and stakeholders together for a discovery phase knowledge quadrant exercise. You can find it by searching YouTube for CXCC196. Before kicking off, every project should do an exercise around what we think we know about users, their contexts, and their needs. What do we wish we knew? What are we guessing and assuming? Do we have outdated information? Sometimes we haven't researched users in years and the data could be misleading. When we realize what we don't know, it's time for research. The more unanswered questions we have as we allow our project to progress, the more risk we incur and the more expensive it is to fix mistakes later. Therefore, invest in early discovery research as your insurance policy against mistakes, guesses, and uninformed decisions later. This exercise will help us know if we need some quick customer conversations or deeper generative research like I'm suggesting. Here's a project plan for a 2023 project my Delta CX company did. It was for a startup that wasn't sure what problems they could solve for their target audience. The startup wanted us to research the target audience and pretty much invent their company and ecosystem, figure out their business model, give them a feature roadmap with prioritization. We were strategists, researchers, and product managers. I put 3 of us on the project, me, Kayleen, and Karen. We planned to meet around 30 people from the target audience. We took the time to rewatch every recording so we didn't miss a thing. We created a set of behavioral typologies and we cataloged the problems we found. We matched quotes from the participants to each problem so the client could see that the problem statement came from the data. We then created high-level solution ideas for each problem, and we were open to anything. Some solution ideas were opposite of each other. We just wanted to give our clients some possible starting points. This isn't a one-week project. We spent 4 days just finding and scheduling strangers. We spent 6 days on two of us leading 1-hour sessions with individual participants. We spent a week and a half on analysis and synthesis, plus a few more days working on typologies and diagrams like our ecosystem map. We left ourselves a week to create a slide deck that had 74 slides. We created an initial product roadmap. So that was 6 weeks for a team of 3. If your company wants to put a single researcher on this, perhaps it takes 3 times as long, 18 weeks. Nobody will want to wait for that. Nobody will feel that that's agile. Some companies want to have various people from the project team working on this together, but that's a no from me. If you want my work to go faster, you have to team me up with the people who will make my work faster. You can't add people who will slow me down because they aren't that great at this. As you might imagine, in our fake agile and fake lean world, where speed is more important than quality and customer outcomes, a 6-week project can seem too long to bother spending on. We hear this a lot, especially from product and engineering authors and speakers. Once upon a time, engineers were the greatest enemies of CX and UX. Engineers had all the power because we were an engineering-led company. Engineers told those of us in CX and UX that everything we did took too long and that we were in some sort of black box where we did our work mysteriously, and then the most evil thing you can evidently do, a handoff. Now, product has all the power. We claim to be product-led, and it looks like they're carrying the black box and gaslighting torch. Here's a screenshot from Tim Herbig, who says that taking time for discovery magic and then having a large delivery of insights is a bad thing. You want to avoid this. You don't want this. Let's think critically and ask ourselves, what's wrong with Tim's diagram? Tim wants you to avoid oversized planning and alignment meetings. I can agree. Those sound bad, but we still need planning meetings. It's up to whoever schedules them to not make them long or with too many people. A project full of discovery magic sounds pretty good to me. I'd love for us to do something great with discovery and not rush through it. It's probably the most important part of the project. Get this wrong, and you're probably getting plenty of decisions wrong thanks to poor discovery work. Then we have a big bang insights drop. This is surely gaslighting, since last I checked, product managers don't meet with everybody on the team once a week to show us their work on anything. I don't remember product managers showing us strategies, roadmaps, or their other work as they go and asking others to help correct their course. I would say that PMs have a big bang drop of their plans and work, and evidently that's okay. So don't be gaslit into thinking that CX or UX work delivering something partially or wholly completed is something we don't want. Tim suggests that you instead start with aligning discovery priorities with strategy, which I interpret as get your orders from leaders and above. And then he's showing something that reminds us of agile sprints. We have a cadence of what he calls discovery check-ins to course correct. To me, this doesn't sound like discovery. Discovery is something we do upfront to learn before we get too far into a plan or project. By the time we have a course that might need correction, I would say that we are past discovery. But if we were to agree with Tim here, then I would say this sounds like a cadence of evaluative research. We are repeatedly checking prototypes or dev builds with target audiences to learn where we need to improve. Also, from the gaslighting people into working faster or cutting corners bucket comes this quote from Tomer Sharon, who I might not have pronounced correctly, sorry. Quote, "If Amazon can deliver production code every 11.6 seconds, can your company continuously deliver research? customer insights once every 11.6 seconds, we can see how a quote like this, coming from someone we think is a UX leader, can make others think that UX research should be measured by speed or the number of insights. It sounds fast, so we think we want the fastest discovery research possible. This can easily make people think that the most important thing research can be is fast. Is research mostly about delivery speed? Should we measure research insights by the quantity per minute? It is true that Amazon has roughly 35,000 engineers. Among all those people and teams, they are evidently pushing something live roughly 5 times per minute. Of course, we don't know what these are. They might not be new features. They could be bug fixes, patching up something we broke, or something we knew was broken, but we released it anyway and said we'd fix later. I use Amazon many times a week, and I can't think of any or many new features or capabilities added to the website or app. Perhaps they're releasing 7,400 small and large bug fixes each day. Also consider the number of products and services that Amazon has. They've got Amazon Shopping for various browsers and apps, KDP, Audible, AWS, Amazon Fresh, Whole Foods, Amazon Pharmacy, Ring, Twitch, Goodreads, Zappos, and endless internal tools for logistics, support, and more. So one release every 11.6 seconds would be around 37,000 releases per 5-day work week. Sure, I can imagine around 35,000 engineers releasing 37,000 releases in a week. That's one each per week. I think I can give you at least one great customer insight each week. But it's interesting that the original quote doesn't do the math and suggests that each researcher delivers at least one crucial insight each week. And if I send you a research presentation with 100 insights in it, did I just deliver 100 insights in 1 second? Can we all please agree that all of these numbers are meaningless? I don't want research measured by the number of insights or how many seconds it took us to learn important evidence and data. Sorry, we're going to go to the top of the hour. I have a few more slides. Let's map, and if you have to leave, please do. It'll be on Patreon later, and then on YouTube you can watch it later. Sorry, I'm going to go long on this. I just kept writing. I've trouble stopping writing. Let's map out what continuous discovery cycles might look like. We know we want cycles or a cadence, and we know we need some evaluative research to constantly get feedback on designs in progress or dev builds. So here are some grumpy face icons representing weekly feedback from potential and current customers on a prototype or dev build that they can realistically try. And this matches what Tim wanted, a frequent cadence of learning to course correct our concepts, designs, prototypes, or dev builds. Note that I'm suggesting 2 researchers per project to move faster, more brains on something important, and redundancy in case someone dares to go on vacation. Also note that this is per project. If you have 10 projects that need continuous evaluative testing, you'll need 20 researchers. These researchers can stay focused on your project, not have another project they need to go work on. And Agile loves when people are 100% allocated to their team. Now let's look at generative studies. And let's say on average, they take 6 weeks like I was showing before. Maybe more, maybe less, but I'll draw these as 6 weeks long, lining up with our grumpy faces. Now, if this is your cadence, then you have one research team of what I'm suggesting as 3 people working together, then you get discovery insights every 6 weeks. There's a good chance that most companies will think that's too slow and will want to know more sooner and faster. Let's say we create a second team of 3 researchers. Now we're getting discovery evidence, data, and knowledge every 3 weeks from one of the 2 teams. Would you like serious discovery knowledge and insights every sprint if you're doing 2-week sprints? Then you need 3 research teams on generative research. It's the same for our top row of weekly evaluative research. This image assumes that you're delivering insights weekly because you're working with a small number of participants that you can go easily find. If your research has larger or a harder to find audience, you might need more time to do evaluative research. For example, at my current job, I'm planning 4-week cycles or longer for generative research because I'm planning for us to meet 30 to 120 people each time. You might think that sounds wild, too many, or not agile. But if the best practice is 5 per target audience plus people with disabilities, and I've identified more than 10 segments, you can certainly end up meeting dozens of people. Like we visualized with the generative research, if your evaluative research will take 2 weeks and you want weekly insights, then you might need 2 teams of researchers so that something is delivered every week. If your evaluative research will take 4 weeks and you want weekly insights, then you need 4 teams of researchers so something's delivered every week. Or you might decide that insights every other week works well. This is all up to your teams and can be adjusted and experimented with. How often do you want to know something? That's your cadence, but you'll have to hire appropriately. At many companies, we put 1 researcher on 3 projects. There's no way that person can get us anything quickly, especially if we care about the quality of research and the insights it can deliver. Oh, Deb, that's so much time and researchers. We don't want to pay for that. But I look at it this way, and I'll just load up the slide and go through it quickly. Ultimately, we can the researchers can pay for themselves. I'm imagining that a researcher costs us 460 American dollars a day, and everybody else on the team costs 460 American dollars a day. Okay, if you have 10 people on the team who aren't researchers at $460 per day, every day you save your team pays for 2 weeks of a researcher's salary. You can easily pay for your own salary, weeks of it, months of it, with every day you save your team. Save them a sprint, you've probably just paid almost half your year's salary. So you can go through this slide, go back to the video and pause it and get more of it. But again, there are so many ways to save our team time and money, saving them from bad ideas, bad A/B tests, rework, mistakes, failures. All of this pays your salary if you are a researcher. So in closing, yes, finally the last slide, the more you want to see great continuous discovery research work being done, the more qualified researchers your company will need to hire. For your evaluative or course correction weekly research, pair up 2 researchers so that research continues even when one is away, sick, or quits before you fill the position. Someone always has product knowledge to onboard someone new. This means that there are 2 researchers per project or project team. Do you have 50 project teams? Hire 100 researchers. For generative discovery research that will help us understand target audiences and find their pain points and opportunities, I'm still recommending 3 qualified researchers per project. This could be 1 senior lead or principal and 2 lower levels, even apprentices, if they will get work reviews. Don't hire interns, apprentices, or juniors and then give them no oversight or work reviews. Do you want discovery insights roughly weekly? Then you need 6 of these discovery research teams, which means 18 researchers just on cadences of early discovery. Note that when I say researchers, I don't mean any breathing human who will try to do research tasks. I mean qualified researchers who would get an open research job at our company because they can pass interviews and challenges around research. Okay, thank you for putting up with a lot longer slides than I thought I had and going a bit over. But let me take a look back at some comments and stuff. I like Katrine says, this math is mathing and every stakeholder's nightmare. Yeah, a lot of stakeholders don't like to look at the true math of things. But I think if we're going to look at the math of things, we also have to look at the math of the time we're wasting, the money we're wasting, things like that. Thank you, Ada. Let me take a look at some other questions. Let me roll back. Okay, let's see. Roll way back. Let's see. I guess the need is not the opportunity. It could be. So again, these are just synonyms, and I tend to say the same groups of words together. Tasks, needs, pain points, problems, opportunities. All of these come together to end up meaning the same thing. What is the opportunity that is there when we watch someone have trouble checking in an airport? Okay, those could be problems, pain points, et cetera, et cetera. And these are opportunities to make something better for someone. Michelle says, potentially bring value. Why? Okay, I'm looking at this 40 minutes later, so I'm not too sure what you're referring to. And so it sounds like it might be the word potentially. And probably I use a lot of words like that because I can't guarantee you anything. I can't say this will absolutely bring value. I usually use softer words like it may do this, it might do this, it could do this, it potentially does this, because I can't guarantee it. Wouldn't you want to know you'll bring value before you design something? Yes, and that's what human-centered design and usability testing would tell you before you're out there doing A/B tests or product launches or other experiments. So yes, we do want to know that. Ana Lucia says, I'm confused with outcome and bring value to the customers. Business outcomes aren't necessarily connected to the value to the customer. Yes, and this is why I find some of Torres' stuff that I have read or reviewed a little bit strange and confusing, because normally not always, but normally she does mean business value, but then right under that, she'll put customer or user opportunities. And it always seems to me, and it could just be my interpretation, someone could prove me wrong, that we're mapping opportunities to make our customers do something so that the business has the outcome it wants. It doesn't feel great to me. Melanie, I see you're raising a hand. Should I, I don't know. I'm still going through all the chat questions. Did you want to unmute and say something?
Yeah, there are a lot of us who are teams of one or teams of two in an entire organization. Like, how is it even possible to do continuous research when you are a team of one or a team of two? How do you bring value to your teams when you're so strapped?
Yeah, and this is this is one of the many problems that people doing research have now. We're not given the time or budget or resources or headcount to do good research. We end up doing no research or little research or the wrong research. And then someone says, well, that wasn't very valuable. Why are we spending money on that? And we spiral down. And it can be very hard to prove that value in that environment. I am still hoping that people will at least try one project. Just take one project, put 3 researchers on it for a good amount of time, whether that's freelancers or contractors or an outside agency. It's time for companies to learn what good research really can provide. Now, in reality, companies used to know this. We had R&D teams. We had research and development teams. Apple certainly still does. They spend billions each year on it, but somehow people who read fancy books decided R&D is too slow. Evidently, it's good enough for Apple. So it is a very hard thing to prove. And what I've been trying to tell those small teams to do is you're going to have to speak up to the people giving you work and your manager and say, I'm only one person, or there's just 2 of us. There's only one thing I can work on at a time. You've given me 3 projects with short deadlines. I can only do one of them. Pick one. And if they say, well, we need all 3 of them done, then I say, then it sounds like you need 3 of me, because I can only do one of these at a time. That's it. I can only work on one thing at a time. A developer can only code one thing at a time. I can only do one project decently at a time. If you try to put me on 3, my attention will be torn, my efforts will be torn, and 3 teams will be unhappy because they'll all think I'm slow and not doing very well. So I think these are some of the things we can try saying, but in this down economy, we have to be prepared for these arguments to not do so well, and they might work better in better times. Let's take a look at Francisco says, it's difficult for me to visualize this model in my company. It needs a culture change. Yeah, absolutely. All of these are culture changes. Accountability would be a culture change. Having a nice place to work would be a culture change. Caring about the customer by actually getting to know them before we guess about them would be a culture change. These are, and that's why this is tough. That's why my book is called Customers Know You Suck, because we suck and we don't want to yet make the changes that would make us better. So yes, it is a culture change, and that's why it eventually has to come from leaders. You can try to spark it from whatever level you're at, but yeah. Let's take a look at what else we have. Katrine says, putting people on the spot, anxiety, false results. Yes, that too. We don't know what people's expectations are for a particular idea. Yes, we can't read their mind. Dominant opinions will dominate. That's right. And dominant personalities dominate. And I find that things can go bad. It will be hard convincing my leader to do this in a quarter. Ha ha ha. Well, you know, hello, Francisco's leader, who I hope is watching this video later. Send it to them. Anybody at that company. Look, I know this stuff seems strange, but if we are going to claim we want continuous discovery, if we're going to claim we want to make customers happy and earn their loyalty, these are some of the things we have to do. And we only have to look at how things have been going for us so far to know that we're probably not getting it right. We probably have some failure rates that we're embarrassed to talk about, A/B test failures, product launch failures, new feature utilization, NPS scores. All of this should tell us we're not getting stuff as right as we could. And it's not all about speed. Congratulations to us. We've been fast, but have we been good? Ader says, isn't that Big Bang what happens every day with PMs or CEOs birthing genius ideas out of thin air? Maybe. Francisco says, who's going to pay my health insurance? I don't know. Who pays it now? I know nothing. Are you in Brazil? I know nothing about Brazil. It sounds like 9 moms giving birth to a baby faster, right? That's like, yes, if 8 trains are going to New York, it's like some sort of school math problem. But I think in the case of things like research and design, we can help those projects go faster when we do add qualified and talented people to it. At companies where they've said, Deb, your research is a little slow. Why don't you have this product manager help you and this marketing person help you? And I said, well, what's their background in conducting qualitative research? Well, they're interested. They're curious. I said, okay, well, now I'm the professor. That takes more time from me. Give me the people who take less time from me, who help me out, who take work off my plate. Ana Lucia says, I have to check that quote to see what is production code. Is it a feature? Is it 2 lines of code, a bug fix, a new label? Yeah, I had trouble finding that. Math is mathing. Yes, I know people have to run. I've gone way over time, but thank you so much. We have negative 15 minutes, but if anybody has any more questions, I'm happy to answer. Please remember, next week is the free webinar on my impact map. Some of you have seen my impact map before. I'm not going to change the slides that much, but for those of you who haven't, drop on by next week for next week's webinar, cxcc.to/events. Don't forget, if you have $1, please support me on patreon.com. This helps fund the weekend work I'm putting into writing all of these. And thanks to everybody for their support. You can also support me by passing these videos around and helping spread the word. It can't just be the 15 of us who know this. I love being your secret weapon, but maybe I shouldn't be everybody's best kept secret. So please pass the videos around. This video later today will go up for my Patreon members paying at the $1 or more level, and it will go up for everybody on YouTube in about 2 weeks. So with that, I thank everybody again, and sorry again for going long, but I will stop the recording and wrap up the session. Thanks again. Good luck.